Hello and welcome to this video about the TopSolid'Cam Operator. In manufacturing, especially in 2 and 3 shift operations, quick adjustments to the NC program are often necessary. However, the production planning department is often not immediately available, and manually editing the programs takes time and often introduces sources of error. This is exactly where the TopSolid'Cam Operator provides a solution. This digital tool makes it possible to make changes directly in the CAM file. What can you change in it? I'll show you in this video. Have fun! Alright, so let's talk about what the operator is. The operator is a powerful application that can be easily installed in the workshop environment, allowing machine operators, regardless of which control system they are intimately familiar with, to quickly simulate, accurately measure, and even efficiently modify certain aspects without needing to be a TopSolid expert. To do this, let's first take a look at the CAM workstation. That means the CAM programmer, who, for example, is programming this component here, has already created work plans, as you can see here. I can also open one. So he has created a work plan with the 0 point, maybe some dimensions, and this program is then sent out to production. The colleague at the machine might want to gather some information, like what sequence the program follows, and may want to change certain things. For that, I'll briefly switch to the operator. This is what the CAM operator looks like. You can already see here that the interface looks quite similar to that of TopSolid. And now we can search here for documents or projects. I could also enter article numbers here. In this case, I'll just enter the name of the document, which is Gehäuse. And now I can already see here the components that all have Gehäuse in their name. And for example, I can now see our part that we're looking for. Right here, I can immediately see this little image, which we might not see for the others. That's because I've attached informational documents there. If I click on it, I can immediately see the setup plan, the tool list, and the operations list. I can also open them to view them, and then I have paperless information that my colleague has provided for me, so to speak. In the next step, however, we can also go ahead and open this document. Later, we can control via permissions whether he is allowed to open the original document or if he is forced to open it as a copy. Because if I open it as a copy, then we'll see in a moment what happens in TopSolid itself. Because in TopSolid, a new document now appears here, which is called Housing Operator, and it's a copy of the original model. And now I have this document in the operator. You can see that the interface looks very similar to TopSolid, but I have significantly fewer buttons. For example, I have this environment here where I can measure things. For example, I could say I want to know the distance from this surface to that surface. Or that's the distance from this surface to that surface. Or I want to measure this radius here. These are the kinds of things I can do. Or I could display the machining operations and either simulate all operations or individual ones. That means this is the standard simulation, just as you're used to from TopSolid, including the coordinates that are displayed here. And this way, the machine operator can get an idea of how the program sequence will run. Now, it might happen that, for example, he has this cast part here, and during the first machining operation, he notices there's a bit more material on top of the casting. Then, for one, there are 2 ways to edit things. He can double-click here, and then a dialog box appears. It looks very similar to the one you know from TopSolid. Only the fields that cannot be edited are grayed out accordingly. For example, you can say here, let's set the outer safety distance to 10 millimeters, then it will immediately add more toolpaths, or let's set it to 2. Similarly, for the heights, I could now say I want 5 millimeters there so that it creates more toolpaths. And what we can also change here are allowances, toolpath distances, stepovers. As you just saw, when I add more material, it makes more toolpaths. This is especially interesting for cast pipe parts. Or I can also say here that I want to adjust the cutting conditions or even change the tool if needed. That means I could say I don't currently have the roughing tool available in production, or it's causing me problems for some reason. Now I want to switch to the 6mm tool or another tool that I have somewhere in the workshop that I have available. The quick option is that I can then simulate it again and recalculate the entire program. There's actually a very, very nice and comprehensive campus course with extensive video material, about 3 full hours long, I believe, where users can very quickly and efficiently teach themselves, so they don't have to attend an elaborate or lengthy training session to be able to work directly and effectively with this powerful tool. In this video material, it also shows how the key user, so to speak, can set up the whole thing with the permissions. I'll get to that in a moment as well, so you can get started with this tool right away. The second way we can change parameters is also quite convenient. For example, if I have several edits, let's say this edit, this edit, this edit, and this one, I want to change the same parameter for all of them at once because I want to adjust the measurements everywhere. Then down here, I basically have the option to say I want to search for Aufmaß everywhere for M, and then I get shown the parameters that I can change and that match this name. Or I could also say I want to look under geometry, and then I see the parameters that can be changed in the form. And if I were to change the measurement at the very bottom to 0, then it changes immediately for all of the strategies I had carefully selected here. So I can jump back once again, and you can clearly see the calculation symbol right here, and then have it calculated accordingly. After all the necessary changes have been thoroughly made and confirmed, the colleague can now easily export the NC code once again. And the significant advantage is he can then safely save and check in this important document. That means if the colleague comes back to the shift the very next day, he will see this one component here. I'm just checking it in right now. And then it now shows me the operations that are different. Specifically regarding the measurements, if I have changed other things as well. And then I can conveniently decide, since I changed the tool here, it also displayed the parameters here. And otherwise, here it only shows that I changed the measurement. For example, there as well. And then I can simply select individual parameters that I want to transfer into my existing program from the operator into my housing. Then it's immediately gone again, or I can adopt all the parameters, or I might say that was just because of a batch change and that's why I don't want it in my program now. And I can then decide whether to keep this program or, for example, delete it or delete it completely here and continue using the operator as my current program. The rights assignment is actually designed to be very user-friendly and intuitive as well, meaning that if we go to the available options here, we have a specific field called CAM Operator Rights, where we can easily create our own individual user, and it then accesses the domain for that particular purpose. That's why I'm getting this message here, where you can select all the users or user groups and then specify whether this person is allowed to simulate, whether they can change the parameters, whether they can modify the original document at all, and you can even configure each individual button. So there's a very wide range of possibilities to assign rights there down to individual users or user groups. So this is an incredibly powerful and user-friendly tool that makes it significantly easier for a wide range of machine operators to effectively modify the program, specifically the NC program, with truly minimal training effort and a very short learning curve. So if you're working in multi-shift operations, the advantage is a program always up to date in TopSolid because it is written back directly. That means with the NC code, it can happen that you have a part modification and generate a new NC code. All the changes you made to the NC code of a machine are no longer present in the new code. So these advantages really speak in favor of the CAM operator. Yes, I think those are the things I wanted to show you about this. And now I'll say a few closing words. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you were able to learn something about the TopSolid'Cam operator. You can also find information about it on our website. I'll put the link for you in the description. And I hope you have a great day and see you next time.